Hi everyone, we're here back at the PV Magazine booth. I'm with Jan Krcmar from the Czech Solar Association. He is the director there. Jan, thanks for joining us at our booth today. First of all, how is 2026 shaping up for Czechia in the solar market? What are the key drivers of the market at the moment?
We're in an interesting situation in Czechia where we've had a government change late last year, and part of the new government is not really in favor of new renewables, so we are now fighting for subsidy programs. At the same time, we are hoping that the government will introduce zero interest loans or low interest loans for residentials and maybe C&I to actually get rid of the whole, what I call, subsidy spiral, where a lot of the installers are actually stuck in a situation where they're not selling solar, but they're selling actually subsidies. Try to not educate, but get the installers to actually sell the advantages of solar and the whole energy security rather than subsidy programs. We're hoping that in the long term this will be beneficial to the sector, but nevertheless at the same time it is currently quite tough because the residential market has been heavily affected. The C&I market is still quite healthy, and utility scale systems are being installed, but not at the rate that we need. And actually there we're talking to the government about finally introducing CFDs in Czechia.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned this subsidy spiral. Obviously, subsidies can be a great way to get solar installations, I think particularly at the small scale level on the ground. Can you explain a bit how that spiral can become a problem and what you would like to see to kind of stop that happening so much?
What we saw in Czechia is we saw several years of subsidies being announced, companies applying for subsidies, and then all of a sudden money running out. Subsidies being stopped for several weeks, which heavily affected the cash flow of companies because they couldn't sign new contracts, couldn't sign new deals, and there was a huge uncertainty. And we saw that for several years, and actually a lot of installers actually already went bankrupt because of this uncertainty, this roller coaster. So we are hoping that in the long term the government will maybe introduce tax write-offs, quicker write-offs, some sort of tax benefits for companies that install solar, maybe lowering VAT on residential solar, which will again, it's a long-term solution. It's not a quick fix that it has to be fought over again and again, but a long-term solution which will not affect state budgets as much.
And finally, it would be great to hear a bit about solar inverters. Obviously, it's a big topic throughout Europe, going to impact all the national level markets, the move towards less solar inverters from Chinese manufacturers. Obviously, how do you see that impacting the Czech solar market?
So we're one of those countries where we're an exemption because we're a small market. We have our own language. We don't speak. There are 10 million Czech speakers. If you count in 5 million Slovak speakers who have a similar language, still a small market. We have very few alternatives to Chinese inverters available in Czechia now. So the list of European or non-Chinese inverter manufacturers that actually have an office there, have local staff, fulfill the RFG obligations, have what we call asymmetry in Czechia, which is a requirement for a lot of the residential systems. There are hardly any available. At the same time, we're worried that a ban on Chinese inverters will actually it will actually convince European manufacturers to actually withdraw from the Czech market, because all of a sudden they can export more inverters or sell more inverters in bigger markets like Germany, Austria, Poland, where we cannot compete. So counterintuitively, a ban on Chinese inverters could actually damage the supply chains of European manufacturers to Czechia, because if you can install or if you can sell more in bigger markets, easier markets where you don't have all of these requirements, then in Czechia we're quite worried that we will be completely left out, and that would completely undermine our decarbonization efforts.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one to navigate for sure, a complex issue. Is there anything that you'd like to see either being done at the Czech level or perhaps the European level to help the Czech solar market out as we transition this use of solar inverters?
So what we need is a deep analysis on the impact on a member state level. So not a European average, but we need to know what the impact is on countries such as the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, where we are seeing large inverter manufacturers actually leave the market because we're not big enough for them, despite having a large market share already. And if it turns out that a ban on Chinese inverters would actually derail our decarbonization efforts, and Czechia already is lagging behind there, I don't think it will be beneficial to then introduce this ban. We need incentives for manufacturers come here, but we also really need the European manufacturers to step up and actually actively be more active in those markets. Open offices there, join the associations, be more active there, and not just leave us hanging.
Great, thanks for that, Jan. Thanks for stopping by the booth as well, and have a great rest of your time at Intersolar.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.